So, Dan, welcome back for part two. I know it's 10 a.m. for you. And since we've last spoken, I'm presuming you're still into the Ironman training, everything. So I'm presuming, even though it's 10 a.m. for you, you've probably already lived maybe 3 days worth of a normal person's average day. Would that be correct?
Yeah, that would be correct. Most people are going to say that. Just normal days for me.
Right. So, what have you done so far this morning?
This morning, kicked things off with a 14-mile run workout. So a 4:30 a.m. alarm, 14-mile run workout. Get home, make sure there's no fires to put out with work. Now here we are on the call. I think I managed to eat some food in there too.
Wow. Okay, so I'm very interested to hear how everything has developed for you in those 4 months since our last conversation. Specifically, it was on January 16th. We're now recording on the 12th of May. So, yeah, almost 4 months. What things stand out since that last interview that you could explain for us?
On the business side of things, just growing a business and learning everything that it takes to work for yourself. When you wake up in the morning, you're not reporting to anybody, which can be a great thing. And for some, it can be a bad thing. You wake up and however much money you want to make or you want to strive to make or push to make, you're going to be able to do. So if you want to take the day off and watch Netflix, which I don't suggest, you can do that. Or if you want to wake up, do a 14-mile run workout like I did, get into the work, work all day, train again at night, you get to do that. So for me, it's just been learning, what it's like to work for yourself and managing your time throughout the day and trying to figure out just exactly how to scale a business. This is new
Mhm.
for me. It's something that I've been learning on the fly and really enjoying as well.
Right. Yeah, there's a certain mindset that required for working for yourself because there's so many distractions. I mean, all the social medias, games, just everything, Netflix, whatever. So, what advice would you give to people to really solidify their mindset and not fall for those distractions?
I would say once you are in the money, right? Once you figure out, okay, I've joined the real world. I now have a steady income stream coming in. I'm working for myself, no matter which field it may be in, what modern wealth creation method. Then I would say for the young men out there, the 18 to 26-year-old men in his mid to early 20s and teens, I would say you really need to stay away from the degeneracy and getting caught up in social media buzz. And what I mean by that is I think there's a lot of people out there on social media making their life look a lot better than it is. They've got the car, they got all the designer clothes, and it looks like they're just traveling, the world, maybe working a little bit here, working a little bit there. And that's the absolute goal. And we're all want to have those nice things. But I think as a young man, you really need to work on a strong base and foundation that's going to put systems in place to generate those sums of money over decades, right? So when you're no longer a 25-year-old man who can run through brick walls, when you're 35, when you're 45, you still have robust systems in place that are generating that money. So build a strong base. All the money in the world isn't worth it if you're not healthy. You want to build your foundation, be healthy. Don't be working so much that you're door dashing or Uber eating, fast food to your place. Be healthy, be fit, build that base and develop yourself as a man. Because I'll tell you one thing, since joining the real world and since becoming self-employed, even in my local community here, as well as over the internet, inside the real world, I've been able to connect and network with individuals that are making a lot more money than I am. And I can tell you with certainty that if someone's doing something that they shouldn't or trying to act like they're higher than they are, they'll snuff that out immediately. So you want to make sure that you develop yourself into that man. So when you are in those situations and in those networking opportunities, you can give someone a firm handshake and you can look them in the eyes and they know, okay, this guy's the real deal. Not only is he making a lot of money, which we respect, but he's also a strong man. He's a great leader. He's a valued member in his community, and he's doing all the right things. This guy isn't just making a bunch of money, flashing it around on the internet and treating people poorly. He's an upstanding guy. I think that really is something that a lot of young guys need to focus on and kind of put the degeneracy to the side. And I know it's difficult because it's very tempting once you start making that money.
Mhm. Very well put. And For fitness aspect, would you say you're taking it to the extreme, or is it something that you could recommend to others as well, following a similar path?
This is one I get a lot. Uh, as you know, and anyone who sees me on social media, I do take things to the extreme. What I suggest is, and it's a quote that I live by, and it's completely changed my life over the course of the past few years. And what a lot of people don't understand until they're there is it is what allowed me to succeed at business and make money for myself thus far is to grow, you must suffer. And what a lot of people kind of think when they see me on social media is, suffering's got to be that 14-mile workout or you have to do an ultra marathon or a triathlon. That's not the case at all. For some people, suffering might just be setting an alarm for 8 a.m. and not hitting snooze, saying you're going to do something and going out there and doing it. And over time, that will compound. So maybe one day you just told yourself you were going to run around the block, but you actually went out there and you did it. And it was really difficult for you, but you did it anyways. That feeling you'll get afterward, that rush of dopamine, no internet video, no woman, no amount of money, nothing can buy that feeling of saying you're going to do something. It's hard for you at your perceived value, and you go out there and you do it. So
Mm-hmm.
you're going to let that snowball and then running around the block. Okay. Now that's not hard anymore. So you're doing a 5K and then you're running a marathon. And then if you want to push it to those extremes, you get to push it to those extremes because you'll see that the results compound. So then when all of a sudden you decide to go into business, like I did back in November when I joined the real world, all the difficulties of, oh, well, how am I going to start and how am I going to make money? Well, when you're continually suffering and growing, you start to think, well, it can't be that difficult. I mean, is it really going to be that hard compared to having to run, a half marathon or a marathon or going to the gym every day when I don't want to? That's where it really helps. But you have to make that connection. And it just starts by doing the little things.
Right. Once again, great answer by you. So, from a personal level, how much has your fitness developed in those 4 months?
Things are going in the right direction. This is now my third season in sport, competing and racing in Ironman, triathlon, and ultra marathon. So the training is completely ramped up. I'm definitely doing more voluminous training than I have before. Just 2 weeks ago, I had a 4 hour trail run, which I ended up doing 24.2 miles. So I just extended it to a full marathon. Those types of activities weren't going on last year. So I would say that the training has really ramped up this year as the goals are set higher and higher. And that's the way I think that a lot of people should look at most things. I know coming into this year, I had a few goals financially and a few goals physically. Well, here we are 4 months in, and I had to completely reevaluate my goals. I had to completely reevaluate the way I was thinking about my goals. I can't be setting year-long goals anymore because it's too far a distance. I have to be looking at the next 90 days. All right, what do we want to do with the business in the next 90 days? What type of financial goals do we want to hit? What type of operations goals do we want to hit? And for fitness and personal life, what type of goals do we want to have there? Because those goals that you think are big and unrealistic, all of a sudden, by growing, suffering, and putting action behind it, you just start to conquer those goals. And then it's like, well, now what do we do? Because that was a year-long goal. We're in May. So
Mm-hmm.
we got to reevaluate. The fitness
Right.
is completely ramped up. And because of that, there's a direct connection with the business ramping up. Couldn't say more things about fitness.
Right. So, interesting how that works because, in a corporate sense, usually, I mean, things take so slow that you can't set yearly goals. Or even in personal life, if you're not doing that much, then yes, yearly goals seem to make sense. But when you're doing every single thing pretty much that you need to every single day, then there's no way that, I mean, you can have those yearly goals because of how fast everything progresses. And as you're saying, in 3 months, you don't know where you're going to be. It's even hard to predict 3 months. How are you going to predict 1 year? And now, in terms of business, financial goals, how have those developed since January?
Yeah, I think I came into this year, and this is before, this is so the end of 2022. I had joined the real world in the end of November. So I was in December of 2022 setting my goals for 23. And I had never made six figures in my life ever. In my previous life, working a 9 to 5 with everyone else in the regular matrix world, the most I ever made was $70,000 a year. And I thought a very out there and aggressive goal, hard to reach, because that's where we need to be setting our goals, something that seems like not even possible. I thought we're going to make $100,000 this year working for ourselves, six figures. Thought there's no way I could be able to do something like that. Well, now here we are in 4 months into the year, roughly. We're approaching mid-May, and I'm already halfway there. So we've had to completely reevaluate our goals. And it goes back to exactly what you just said. You don't understand the true speed of something until you start controlling all the aspects of your life. So when you step away from the corporate world or whichever world you're working in, and you're now, through the skills you've learned in the real world, working for yourself full time, so you're controlling when you wake up, when you exercise, when you eat, when you work. Now you can start to make much more rapid progress. And it's not until you completely have no one else telling you what to do other than yourself that you realize how fast you can make that progress. And I didn't even know that. I knew with fitness how fast things can go when you're controlling your own life, but I had no idea with business. So anyone who tells you you need to move slow, they're not working hard enough.
All right. And what do you say to those people who are calling everything you do excessive? Or are you just completely detached from those people now and don't really have anyone around you saying that?
The latter for sure. I very, very closely control my circle. I have an extremely, extremely small circle. And if there's any level of pessimism from anyone, and you got to cut that type of stuff out. And it's difficult too, right? Because it could be your own family. I don't come from wealth or anything like that. I grew up in the most average type of family you could possibly imagine. So when you say things like, I'm part of an online university and I'm learning how to make money online. It's the pessimism. It's, oh, you better not quit your job. But are you going to get health care if you do that? Well, what about your 401k for retirement? Well, then you do quit, and then it's a whole nother level. And now, even though you're making money, they see you're feeding yourself, you're living, you're doing what you need to do. There's still that level of pessimism. It's still well, we don't know. What if you need this or that? You have to completely cut that out. And that's just your people that you love and care about, maybe your family or close friends. If something like that continues, you have to just completely remove that person from your life. Anyone in my life right now just contributes positively to me, reinforces it, wants to help or do what they can to support. And as far as anyone out there on the internet, you also have to, that's a whole nother story. People that you don't even know or respect, you shouldn't be valuing their opinion whatsoever. And the great thing is for anyone who says it's excessive, I can assure you now, while I might not be getting as many DMs as some people who are out there extremely high status on a daily basis, there are people that reach out to me and say, hey, I was going to be on the couch today, but I saw your story and I saw you out there running, or I saw you working, and I had to go to the gym and get on the treadmill. It sucked, but I did it anyways. That right there is what does it for me. So when I see stuff like that and people interact with me like that, I know that I'm only just getting to the surface here. I'm only scratching the surface as far as fitness goes. So excessive, not for me, not for this guy. I set the standard for myself and those around me. And I understand there's a responsibility to set the standard for those that I don't even know right now, but one day I may influence.
Very beautifully put, Dan. And just to emphasize your point about other people's opinions, I had the same approach, or I have the same approach. If there's someone I don't respect and don't want to be like, I'm very likely just not going to listen to their opinion, because there's so many people who love to give their opinion. But if you're in a position where you don't have your life together and there's everything just falling apart, then what right do you actually have to, again, give other people your opinion? That might sound rude, but that's just the reality, I'd say.
No, you're completely correct, and I'll quickly add on to that and why I believe that fitness and that base and building that base is so important. Like I talk about, there's a reason that I'm in the position that I'm in now, where I believe in myself wholeheartedly. If I want to make $100,000 in a month, I know that it's possible, and I can completely cut out those types of people that say it's excessive, or your classic internet troll, whatever you want to say. But it's only because of that base. You see people who come across fast money on the internet, whether it's YouTube or it doesn't matter what it is. They could be doing what I do, or automation, AI, anything. And all of a sudden, you get kickback on the internet. It could be like I said, it could be a troll, it could be someone that you know in your community. It doesn't matter. You get people commenting on what you're posting, this and that. Well, because you've never really learned to suffer, because you've really never learned to build that base and control your own mind, all of a sudden those types of thoughts, they get inside your head. And maybe you're responding to people, maybe you're, acting out, maybe you're not saying anything at all, but like, man, is that person right? I don't know. It is affecting me, not me. There's not anything that anyone could construct on the face of the planet that would possibly penetrate my mind. And that's solely because for the last 2.5 years, every single day I've suffered and I've grown from it. Might not have been for all 24 hours, but each and every day I suffer in some way, shape, or form. I haven't taken one single day off. And because of that, I've built a completely iron mind. So you can cut out all the negativity once you can control your own mind.
Mm-hmm. All right. Again, great answer then. So I'd like to move on to brotherhood. How has that developed for you in 4 months? Any news there?
On the front of me and my brother personally, or on just the
Just
front in
brotherhood
general?
in terms of people you surround yourself with. I remember you saying you're moving in, or had you already moved in with two other people? I remember vaguely something about that, correct?
Yeah, so currently living with my brother, who's a literal clone of me. We work together, we train together, we eat together. Don't worry, we sleep in separate rooms down the hall. And yeah, to answer your other question, we are currently working on getting a couple other of my brothers under one roof. Just because when you're under the same roof as someone, like I just described, I mean, you're doing everything together, and there's that healthy competition element in there, but you're really supporting each other as well. And people don't really understand that until you're out there doing it. Here in the United States, where I'm from, it's very uncommon once you start to approach the age I'm at, you're 25, 26, 27. The living with your buddies or your male friends, that kind of goes out the window. A lot of people are getting the fixed 30-year mortgage. They're moving in with their girlfriend, soon to be wife, and it's not long before it's kids and white picket fence. But the problem is that 30-year mortgage, car loan, kids, and white picket fence, that's all off the same amount of money they were making when they got out of college when they were a bachelor. So, you get pushed away from that in culture and in society here in the United States. And quite often, it's very often, if we're at an event with my brother, they get, well, you guys do everything together. Well, you guys are around each other a lot. You guys live together? Well, that's kind of strange. But we think the exact opposite. Being underneath the same roof, it's all we do is build off each other. So I wouldn't have the level of success I do if it wasn't for him and being able to be around him 24/7, as well as, adding more people to that. And more broadly, just on the topic of brotherhood, since joining the real world, I've absolutely been able to expand my network and meet so many more like minded individuals. So when all day, all you're talking about is, say, your thing is business or it's fitness or whatever that your circle's kind of talking about, and you meet and network with those other people out there inside the real world or in your community, all day, it's just going inside your head. Oh, I'm thinking about money, 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 or the business. What about this accounting? What about that? Tax codes, fitness. Are we going to run this weekend? So all that's just going in your head all the time. You're not thinking about senseless shit like, oh, what's this new Netflix show? It's funny. We're out the other day and we're at a restaurant and we're sitting there and I'm with my brother and a few others and we're talking about business. We're also talking about our fitness goals and some events that we have planned for this summer, etc. So all we're talking about is our life and the substance that we talk about and live inside our life. Well, all you can hear about in the booth next to us, and they're talking quite loud, well, there's this new Netflix show. Have you seen this new Netflix show? Well, I saw this on the news, and that gas prices are high, and the price of eggs are really, really high, and I don't know what to do. And your mind gets blown, you know. But when you control that people you're around, you control your environment, and you have those strong brothers around you, all you're doing is thinking. I'll be laying in my bed at 1 o'clock in the morning, or wake up first thing in the morning. I send a text. I was thinking about this opportunity, blah blah blah, and they get right back to me. There's no nonsense. So that brotherhood, it's not something to be underrated.
All
And
right.
if you don't have it, you need to find it.
Yep. It's what Tay says, a masculine competition, and it's just ingrained in men. Like, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, men would forge swords, and just march in random directions for conquest. But now we can't physically do that. So instead, we do it through, I mean, physically training ourselves and making money. That's building an empire, you could say it that way, through corporate stuff.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's just innately in us, and if you're living true to your essence, then that is what you desire. Otherwise, if you're too distracted with everything in clown world, let's call it, then those ambitions do go away, and it's sad to see men living soulless lives, just completely dead in the eyes. But maybe I'm getting sidetracked.
I wouldn't say so. All men want it. It's just a matter if they're tapped into it or not.
Yeah.
And once you tap into it, unlimited potential.
All right, and your proof. Chloe, you're 25. I don't know if it was said last interview, but it's crazy. You're 25.
25 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I thought I'm like minimum 30 the way you were speaking. I was so surprised to hear. But yeah.
When you
Okay,
push it
so
to those
let's.
extremes, you age, you develop. They say when you run an ultra, you make 5 years worth of progress in 1 year. I don't know if it's true, but I may be living proof. May not.
All right. So we talked about business, physicality, brotherhood. Are there any other aspects that come to mind in those 4 months that have improved?
I would say those are the top three. What a lot of people are going to preach to you on the internet, and I've seen every single fat self-help guru behind a webcam tell you, is they're going to say, you need to work on your weaknesses. If you're weak in this area, you need to work on it, and you need to develop your soft side as a man, or get in touch with your emotions. Maybe that's one of the weaknesses they're telling men need to be about. Well, we've taken the exact opposite approach this year. What we've done is we've just doubled down on all of our strengths. So we've taken everything that we've seen great success at in the last few years, and we've just thrown even more wood on the fire. So if it's fitness, we've set even bigger goals this year. Last year, I did a couple racing events. This year, I'm doing a few more. I'm doing longer, 100-mile ultra marathon. Last year, the farthest I ran was 50. I've got multiple Ironmans out there where I plan to compete for top tens, triathlon where I can plan to compete locally here for the win. So we're just putting more wood on the fire. As far as the business side goes, the exact same thing. We thought, okay, our goal was to be able to quit our 9 to 5 and work for ourselves. Well, it took 1 month to do that. So rather than just be content with that and kind of just coast through life and, engage in degeneracy, maybe go on a few holidays, go to the bar here and there. No, we're just going to double down. Let's put even more wood on the fire. Forget just quitting our 9 to 5 and matching our old income. Let's double, triple, and quadruple it, which we believe that there's possibility to do this year, and we're on track to do well over double. So that's what we've been focusing on. We've been focusing on doubling down on all of our strengths, and just it has built us even stronger than we could possibly imagine. And we're only getting started. That's the beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Life's a long, long game, and we're only halfway through this year. Here in the States, in the Midwest, we're just approaching the summer. It's just starting to get warm out. And while everyone else is falling off how it works here, people start to, restaurant patios are open. We're going to be drinking on the weekends, get off from work on Friday, beers with the boys. No, we're working on Friday nights. We're up early on Saturday and Sunday mornings, and we're training. We're running miles, we're lifting weights, and then we're working after. We're not concerned with anything else. Double down on your strengths.
All right. That reminded me, I don't remember exactly how the quote went, but it's something along the lines of, it's not that life is short, it's given to you in ample measure, it's just about how you live it. So when you're living every day like you are, then life really is long, as you're saying. But whereas if you're just completely passive, just again turning off your brain every day, whether it's watching something or doing something else, then you're like, oh, it's been a year already. Oh, I remember when it was New Year's 2023 and we're already in May. I can't believe it. Time went by so fast because it's just you're living passively, and just day by day it merges and goes away. But yeah,
That person
yeah,
allowing life to happen to them, they're not
exactly.
happening to life.
Right. Okay, so what are your 90-day goals? And starting from now, would you be able to name them? And then we'll see in 90 days. We do a follow up and see how those go.
90-day goals. So for the business side of things, In 90 days, we plan on what we're currently doing in as far as sales revenue goes. We're looking to triple that. So about that mid-August to September month. So I'd probably say that September month, by mid-August, we'd like to achieve the mark, and September would be the full month. And we want to be doing triple our current monthly sales in the month of September, or that mid-month of August. So that's like that's our hard financial goal that we are striving to attain.
Hmm.
And as far as fitness goes, I have two races inside the 90-day window. I've got a local triathlon here in Detroit, Michigan, where I plan on competing for the win. Last year, I won my age group and I took sixth place overall. And this year, we're going to go out there, defend our age group title, and go for an overall win, which seems like a wildly far out there goal, but that's what we need to do.
Hmm.
Last year I set a goal of I want a podium, and I ended up winning my age group. So I realized right there, boom, we didn't set a big enough goal. So we're coming out really aggressive. And the real prep is for the Burning River 100, which is a 100-mile ultra marathon on July 29th, where I'm going to attempt to run 100 miles nonstop. So we're going to be looking somewhere in the 23 to 26-hour time frame. So me and my team, my crew, be heading down there in the end of July, and that's for sure to put me in a place I've never been before. And I greatly look forward to putting myself physically and mentally into a state of suffering that I've never entered.
All right. Was it for David Goggins for his stories, as in the story that he refers to a lot? Was it 100 miles or 100 kilometers that run? Do you know which one I'm referring to?
I believe you're referring to the 100-mile track run he did, where he wasn't even a runner and he just completely
Yeah.
broke himself off. Yeah,
Just what
yeah.
took some crackers or something, and yeah, by I think 80 miles, his shins were completely gone. I don't know, something
Seeing
along
blood.
those lines, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly. Wow.
correct. That was a 100 mile. That was a actually a 24-hour run event where he needed to run 100 miles around a track. Because I'm sure everyone here knows what a track is. It's just a
Mhm.
loop. I couldn't imagine that. The 100-mile ultra I'll be doing will be over trails with about 8,300 feet of elevation gain. Someone internationally would have to do a conversion there. I
Mhm.
know my international friends are not going to be happy
Yeah.
with the feet, but so it's over trail, dirt, hills, etc., gravel. So maybe a little bit less taxing on the mind, but I'm sure over the night period when all I have is a headlamp and can only see 3 feet in front of me, I'm sure I'll be definitely thinking, why am I even here? And I look forward to it because that is where you grow when you come out on the other side of it. It's when you give in and you say, I don't know why I'm here. I'm going to quit. That's where you really look back and you think, damn, I don't know what I was doing. And I've been there. Life isn't all sunshine and rainbows, and you're going to make mistakes. When you're going out on that journey, and I'll digress here. When you're on that fitness journey and you're setting those aggressive goals, it doesn't matter whether it's weightlifting, CrossFit, endurance training. I would encourage people to fail and to fail forward. Just about every single race I have completed, at one point I also have failed, just about. So it's because setting those lofty and aggressive goals, you're going to have failure. If all you're ever doing is just knocking every single box off, oh, I want to run a marathon, oh, I want to make $4,000 a month or $10,000 a month, and you're just hitting every single box and it seems like everything's on easy mode, well, maybe you aren't pushing yourself enough. So I would encourage people to go out there and fail forward and just be prepared for those days where everything's not all sunshine and rainbows. For example, just yesterday, I woke up. First thing I do in the morning when I wake up is I look at my phone, probably a terrible habit, but check my emails, make sure there's no fires to put out. And yesterday I dealt with arguably the biggest problem I've had since going into business. And for a brief moment, I wanted to have a bad mentality about it. And I wanted to say, why is this happening? This is, bullshit. I can't believe this is going on right now. But that's just the opposite of the approach you should take. That's a victim's mentality. You know, Great success isn't going to come without big problems. I heard a famous quote once from Jay Waller. You can judge a man by the size of his problems. I may be paraphrasing, but that's somewhere along
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So if you're not having big problems occasionally, then you're probably not setting high enough goals or pushing yourself well enough. So when those bad days come around, just embrace it, laugh it off, and take action to solve the problem. There's no reason crying about it. The only way it's going to get better is by solving it through raw action. Be
Great
prepared for it.
point, right? I want to wind back a bit to when you do give up during those moments of high pressure, they really do end up haunting you. But if you if you approach it correctly, you can use those emotions of regret to really boost yourself forward. But obviously, you don't want to keep doing it in terms of don't want to keep giving up because at that point you're just a quitter. But if it happens maybe once or twice and then you use it to fuel yourself for future, then it can lead to a lot of positive change as well.
Agreed. This past year, I had 5 races, and my fourth race was a 100-mile ultra marathon that I attempted to run. And at mile 54, I pulled the plug and I failed at running 100 miles. And a day hasn't gone by that I haven't thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so hyper obsessed with my goals and with achieving what I want and pushing myself to the extreme limits that I just quite simply cannot let it go. And I had to quickly pivot because I had another race in November, my first full distance Ironman that I did. So briefly, I was able to put it in the back of my mind. But at the start of this year, I thought, I don't know how things are going to go with business if I'm going to be able to train at that high level. And I kind of just had to do some self reflection and tell myself, like, this is you, this is who you are. There's people out there who expect you to be pushing it to the extreme and taking things to the next level. So it wasn't long before I had my name back on the start list the end of this July to go out there and run that 100 miles again. And a
Mm-hmm.
day won't go by from now till then that I don't think about it. And that in some days that haunts me and that pushes me. It's not only the drive for success to get and achieve the highest level, whether it's financial or physical in a relationship with your family, it doesn't matter. For me also, and I think what a lot of people need to tap into is it's those past failures in the back of your head. You should understand back when I was 250 pounds and I couldn't run around the block, and there's that picture of me on my Instagram where I look like garbage with my shirt off. I think about that quite frequently. And I killed that man. He no longer exists. I completely redefined who I am, not only from a physical and mental standpoint, but spiritually as well, by forging an iron mind. So I think back to those failures quite often, and they drive me forward as well.
Mm-hmm. Man, a lot of very good insights once again from you, Dan. Really enjoyed the conversation. I'd say we can end off now with. I mean, we didn't really go that much into the real world, but it still shows how much the real world has helped you financially, everything. So, for people who are still unsure about joining the real world, maybe they're thinking it's a scam for $50, what advice would you have to them?
First off, I state this every time. I like to be a realist and logical thinking person. It's $50 to join. So with $50, which some places that's going to be a dinner if you take your girlfriend or you go out with a friend. I mean, for you to invest $50 just to see what the real world is and what can be achieved there, that's a no-brainer just from a financial investment standpoint. Just because the average person is going to be spending that $50 somewhere else. Just maybe don't go to the bar this Friday. Okay, you already want to be a winner and you're going to have to cut that out anyway. So don't do that. Take that $50 and look at it as an investment. Don't look at that $50 as an upfront cost. Look at it as an investment. And then what I'd say after that, to sell anyone on the real world, is there's a reason today, possibly, that our conversation wasn't just so strictly about the real world and about the financial gains. Because when you're a young man and you're reaching that level of success and you're striving for higher, what the real world is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to take complete control of your life. When I stepped away from my 9 to 5, that was the last bit of my life that I didn't have control over. I still logged onto a computer and I still had some other person telling me what to do. And if I didn't show up, I wasn't getting paid. That's not the case anymore. So when you spend that $50 and you show up day in, day out, and you learn and you work, and all of a sudden you're making enough money where you're providing for yourself, you're going to take complete control of your life. And that is the start of the beginning of your journey. Because now that you have complete control of your life, you're going to be able to do whatever you want. And you're really going to be able to work on yourself and develop yourself as a man. If you want to become that ideal man, you want to look amazing with your shirt off, you want to be that guy that people look up to and lead, a valued member in your community, you can do that. But let me tell you something, you're not going to be able to do that the way you want to working for someone else. And the real world is going to put you there. Do you want your kids to look up to Batman and Superman as a hero? Or do you want them to look up to your father and say, my dad is just this crazy guy who does this crazy stuff. Do you want to be the talk of the town, be the dad that does the Ironmans, makes all the money, drives a nice car, takes care of his family? Choice is yours. Join the real world.
And something from my end as well, you don't truly see how much of an impact you have on people, but by being your best self, by doing what you're doing, then first you impact the people directly around you, then that will lead to impact in your community. And as people are inspired by your progress and they start changing their lives as well, I mean, eventually you might even just change the world in a positive way as well because of how far reaching it can be. But you don't realize it again.
Those small wins. Most people haven't had a small win. Most people, when they set the alarm for the weekend to go on a hike, they end up snoozing it and saying, it's not going to happen. So if you can't win on a small level, how could you ever expect to work for yourself or to have that Ferrari with a perfect body or change the world even? You can't even win small. Once you win small, snowballs. Man, I woke up early. Maybe I can be a morning person. I work out every single morning. Okay, maybe now I got all that time at night. I can work on the real world. Oh, wow. Now I'm working for myself. Okay, maybe I can influence other people in a positive way and be a positive light in the world. And all of a sudden it snowballs. Well, why can't I be a millionaire? Why can't I change the world? Why can't I be a great father, have many children, whatever you want to do? Focus on that small win. I'm telling you, that little bit of suffering, take it, run with it.
Love it. So for the people who want to find out more about you or contact you, where can they do so?
Yes. So on Instagram, I am at danny.barron, danny.barron, barron underscore. Someone's got the full one. So I got to throw the underscore in there at the end. And on Twitter, I am at danny.barron1.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a lot of people on the Instagram that send in some DMs. Please DM me. It fires me up. I love everyone getting better together and building a great community. Social media can be a powerful tool if you use it the right way. So try not to be on there aimlessly scrolling. Send me a DM. Love to talk to anyone. And if you see me inside the real world, tag me. Let's chat.
Great. And I will add the Instagram and the Twitter to the description of the video. So anyone interested, check that. And Dan, thank you for your time. Thank you for the insights. I look forward to the part 3 in 90 or so days.
Yeah, looking forward to part 3 as well. Thanks for having me on. Pleasure's all on my end.